Don't shoot the messenger, but ad costs are rising, darling. So you need to learn how to increase your conversion rate and average order value on your Shopify store by using tools like Hotjar to analyze your traffic and come up with split test ideas, and then actually split test your traffic by using Google Analytics and Google Optimize. So for you nerds out there, this video is absolutely going to make you cream. And if you stick to the end of it, I'm going to give you 15 split test ideas that you can use today to make more money with your Shopify store. So let's get the boring tutorial stuff out of the way. So the first thing you're going to need is a Shopify store. Now, if you don't already have one for your brand, I highly recommend using the link in my bio because it'll save you so much money, because a typical Shopify store is $30 a month. But with this link, you will get a Shopify store for 3 months at $1 a month. And plus, helps out the channel a little bit. So hey, it's a win-win negotiation. Nobody's losing here. But once you have your Shopify store, make sure you have some products that you can actually start doing some split testing and installing these apps on, because if you don't, it's kind of useless. Now, after that, you want to go to your online store, because the most important thing you're going to do today is edit the code on your theme. And I know that can be pretty daunting. It can be a little bit scary for us that have never coded anything before, but guess what? I am in the same boat as you. I have never coded, despite me being a white, nerdy, scrawny male. So when we get into this, what we need is to have our Shopify theme selected. So for me, I'm going to use the Dawn theme. It really doesn't matter. But now we have to go into Google Analytics and install the code from that into your theme. So if you don't have a Google Analytics account, you can just sign up pretty easily on their website. But once you do log in, this is what it's going to look like for you. You'll be on the dashboard section, but we need to add your website and install the tracking code. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go to admin in the bottom left. Then we're going to click create property, not create account, because we already have our account ready, but create property. Now this is where we're going to put the details of your website. So for me, this is literally just a templated basic vanilla website. But what we're going to do is put that property name, just something that we can actually memorize so that we know we can click between the different properties, which is just another way of really saying website when we are using our Google Analytics account. So right here, United States, I'll do New York as the time zone because I'm in Miami, Florida, baby girl. So we're going to scroll on down. Now these questions really don't matter. It doesn't actually do anything. So I'll put books, honestly, because I don't care. You can do random stuff. It doesn't actually change your experience in any way. That's just a survey for Google. But once you're on here, you want to choose a platform, which is going to be a website. Now, this is where you're going to put your actual URL. So let me preview my website just like this. Copy the URL, paste it here. We're going to get rid of this HTTPS. And then we are going to name our website. So I will do BOD template again, just like this. And then after you create a stream, it's going to give you a code that you can install into your theme. So once you do that, it's going to give you a little bit of a warning, and it's going to say data collection isn't on your website, which is true. So you're going to click view tag instructions, install manually, copy this code. And what we're going to do is actually edit your theme. Now, before you do that, there's a really good chance you're going to mess this up, even if I give you the exact step-by-step instructions and hand feed you like a baby. But before you set this up, I would highly recommend duplicating your themes so that you have a backup version that you can install and try again in case you do mess this up. But once you have the duplicate and the theme that you're ready to edit code, you're going to click on these 3 dots, click on edit code, and then we're going to go on the left side to theme.liquid. Now on this section, you want to find the first heading tag. So the first head tag, this one right here. And what we're going to do, just do 3 line breaks like that, paste our code just like that, and save. And just like that, bada bing, bada boom, you got Google Analytics. How hard was that? Now, in order to test that you have set it up properly, what you're going to do is go back to home, and then it should give you a report if you have visited the website. So what I would recommend doing, and it'll take about a minute to actually show you, is you just refresh the page of your website just like this, and it will end up showing up in a couple of minutes. And just like that, we can see Google Analytics is tracking that we were on our website. So we're good to go there. Now, the next app we want to install is Hotjar. And this is before you start launching any campaigns, because once you get traffic onto your website with Hotjar, you can actually analyze what your customers are doing on your website. This sounds like some government spying type crap, I know. It's honestly a little bit scary to see the power of this tool, but when you do have it on your side, man, it allows you to make so much more money because you can analyze what your customers are doing. You can see, for instance, if a customer scrolls down to a certain section, of thousands of customers scroll down to a certain section, and after they do, if they start to leave the page, and then you know, okay, I should get rid of this section or tweak it around because it's lowering my conversion rate. But that's the type of data you need in order to increase conversion rates. And obviously there's other things. If they click a certain page and that also forces them to leave, then you know, all right, I should probably delete delete that or move that around, etc., etc. But it gives you the data for you to actually come up with effective split tests, because if you don't have this data, then you're kind of shooting in the dark. So with Hotjar, we can see a cool recording right here. I was just on the website, and look at it tracking my mouse. So it actually gives you heat maps as well, so you can see where are your customers typically clicking the most, and you can see what are they doing on your website. Are they scrolling down? Are they going through the images of your website? And then after they get to a certain image, are they leaving? It gives you so much data. It's absolutely insane. In fact, it really feels like you're a stalker in this point, but super cool tool. And really, when it comes to the installation, it's very similar. You just get the tracking code and we're going to edit it to a theme. So when you create an account with Hotjar, it is completely free and it will have a workspace for you. You can only have one workspace on the free plan, so that's what I would recommend having. And then once you're in here, we want to add the tracking code to your website. So to do that, we're going to click in the top left corner and you can see all the websites we have. We can add a new site just like this, and we will do that. So where we're doing organization, this doesn't really matter. Again, my website, you can just do whatever you're going to be able to remember this name as, and then we will put in our actual URL. Industry sector doesn't matter. We're going to click on add site just like this and give it a few seconds, and bada bing, here we go. So the next thing we have to do is actually install Hotjar. Now, in order to do that, we can see connect with Shopify. So I actually don't really recommend this. They have an app, but it's not really necessary to do. What you really do need to do though is copy this code, and then we're going to head to the same section of editing the theme.liquid. So let's go back here. We're going to edit the code and go to theme.liquid, but this time we're going to go to the last head code. But when you're doing this, an easy way to get to the final head code is do Control F on your keyboard, and after you select a certain section, so that way it searches in the code to find exactly what you're looking for. So we're going to do /head just like that to find the final head code, and there it is right there. So it's a much more effective way than trying to eyeball it and scroll through 260 lines of code. So as you can see right here, I already have Hotjar installed, but basically what this would look like in most cases is you would have the head code, and we would probably get rid of this right here. And what we want to do is usually do a line break and then paste the code like that. So it'll be pretty simple. Click on save, and then Hotjar is installed. So we can verify installation. Let's see real quick. It should take a few seconds. So now we're scrolling, and bada bing, bada boom, you got Hotjar, and now you can start looking at user recordings to better optimize your split test ideas. Now, before I install Google Optimize with you, even though you can skip past this part in the video and just completely ignore my warning, I want to actually talk to you a bit about how to do split testing effectively and come up with ideas. Because really, the whole point about split testing is you should be looking at your data first and then coming up with ideas based on that data. You shouldn't really just be coming up with ideas that don't really make sense, that not really are backed by anything. Because in a lot of ways, split testing is like being a scientist. You need to look at the data, come up with a hypothesis, start A/B testing, looking at that data after the A/B test, and then iterating based off that data. That is the entire process that any CRO agency would do, conversion rate optimization agency. So what we can do is obviously look at our Shopify analytics. Now, I know in this store, it's very bare bones, but if you already have thousands of visitors, thousands of purchases, you should be looking at this right here in your conversion funnel and seeing where are we losing people? Where is the leakage? So with most stores, they want to convert at around 2%. And I've had stores that convert at 4%, 5%, and you're still, even with the biggest brands that are converting at 5%, they are always looking to increase that number, because even if you tweak it and it goes from 5% to 5.2%, at a large scale, that is millions and millions of dollars. So anything that you can do, you have to have the mindset, we are always split testing. We are never complacent with our current website. But the first thing we want to do is obviously look at the funnel. So with add to cart percentage, you typically want that to be at least 5%, and you want a third of those people to convert into purchases. And then from initiate checkout, we want half of those people to convert into purchases. So if we get 100 people that check out, we want 50 of those to convert. If we get 100 add to carts, we want a third of those, 33, to convert to purchases. So if you're not at those marks, then you know that should be probably the first place I do my split testing. But if you're not getting 5% add to cart or 8%, 10%, whatever makes sense for you, then that is a product page problem. So that's where we would go into our product page and see, based on those Hotjar recordings, where are people leaving? Where is the leakage going on? Are they reading this first headline and then leaving? Then if that's the case, all right, let's change up that headline. Let's change up these benefits. Are they going through the images, and after they get to this image right here, they're leaving? Okay, well, let's test some different images. But the biggest thing you typically want to split test is always going to be your entire landing page or the offer that you give to your audience. Now, by landing page, I mean this is a typical debut looking product page, but you can obviously build a landing page on a custom page builder like Gem Pages, for instance, or Replo. There's so many different tools, but you can do an A/B test in Google Optimize where you send traffic 50% of it to this page on debut and then on 50% to the Gem Pages product page. So that way you can compare side by side which one is converting better. And that's usually going to be the biggest one variable split test you can do. And that's a big part also when it comes to being a scientist with your CRO. You should only be changing one variable at a time, because if you do change, let's say 5 different things and your conversion rate does increase, you don't know which one of those changes actually led to that increase in conversion rate, because maybe you changed 5 things and 2 of them increased your conversion rate by 20%, and then the other 3 things actually lowered your conversion rate by 5%. So that's why it's incredibly important when you are split testing, only do one thing at a time. So only change the offer from one landing page to another, or change the entire structure of the landing page. But obviously when you change the entire structure of the landing page, it's still kind of the same problem where you're changing a lot of different things. So in those split tests, yeah, you're just seeing, okay, which landing page did better. But once you find out which landing page did better, let's say it's actually this one right here, then we want to start making those small one variable changes. So maybe changing the add to cart color, maybe changing the price, things like that. Now, what most big brands do when they are doing their split test is they do post-purchase surveys. And this is a really effective way of just asking 3 to 4 questions after someone purchases, asking them questions like, hey, why did you decide to buy from us compared to our competitors? What are you expecting to get out of this product? Why did you buy this product for yourself? I mean, give us the reasons. And the more you can learn about your customers, you can use that data and implement that in your marketing, implement that in your ads, and implement that in your split test. So if you know a lot of people are saying they're buying this because it's the best sound, then okay, cool. Let's use that as the main headline. But if people are saying they're buying this because it's stylish, then it might make sense to do a split test where that is the opening headline. But you always want to do the most impactful split test first, not the add to cart changing of colors or reviews and stuff like that. It's always offer and landing page. So for instance, I built this landing page for this heated jacket inside of Replo, and it looks really professional. And I did it in the format of a listicle. So I did 3 reasons why, a list of 3 reasons why you need to buy this jacket for winter. So it's super easy, and this is a completely different style and feel than a typical product page. So maybe that's the split test I want to do, of sending 50% of traffic to this listicle versus 50% to a normal looking product page, and we can see which one converts better. Those are the types of changes you can do. And obviously, if you don't know how to build things in custom page builders, you can hire people off of Upwork. You just post a job request looking for expert in Gem Pages, and then you just give them an example of what you're looking for. They can build exactly what they want. They know exactly how to code with these things. It's elementary to them, and boom, you'll have a great landing page. Now, if you're wondering about offers, so when you are split testing price, you can't actually do that natively in Google Optimize. You can change things like the headlines, but what you'll have to do if you want to split test price, let's say I want to split test from 60 euros to 70 euros. So what I would actually have to do is duplicate my product page. I can set it as active. We'll move over all these things, and then we just change the price to the 70 euros. And then we can just split test, do an A/B test in Google Optimize, where we send 50% of traffic to the 60 euro price page, and then 50% of traffic to the 70 euro one. So that is how you're gonna be able to split test price. And then obviously you can also split test other things like your offer. You can do a BOGO deal versus just doing 30% off. You can do buy one, get one 50% off. You can do buy one, get 2 free. There's so many different offer structures out there. You can do bundles. You can do buy more, save more. And obviously if you're wondering how to do something like a BOGO deal, I personally like to do automatic discounts. So you can do something like create discount and then buy X, get Y. So just like this, I want to do an automatic discount, so they're not even going to see this. So they would do BOGO just like that. And then if someone, let's say, adds 1 of the audio blades to their cart, and we would have to specify the quantity. Then we do customer gets 1 of the audio blade again. So automatically it will discount and we will make this free. And again, you can do something like a percentage where it's 50% off if they buy another one. So we can just see real quick, we can try this out, adding 1 of these to the cart, and let's see real quick, view my cart. And as we can see right here, 1 of these is gonna be 62. And then when I added that second one, it is completely free. So these are the things you can really split test that make the biggest difference on your conversion rate. Now, before we set up Google Optimize in these juicy split tests, if you are looking for a mentor to help you with your e-commerce or dropshipping brand, I actually am now offering consulting. So you can actually book a call down below and have weekly calls with me where I can review your brand. If you're a dropshipper, review your products, and you can also go through my course step by step of how I've been able to scale new brands from 0 to 100 grand a month. And if you're an e-commerce brand, we can help you with your ad creatives, making custom creatives that will absolutely crush it on TikTok. And you can have me personally set up these split tests on your website to increase your conversion rate, make more money, and help you scale to all new heights. So book a call down below if you're interested in working with me directly.
But ladies and gentlemen, now for the time you've all been waiting for.
Actually setting up Google Optimize, the tool that will allow you to split test your traffic unlike any other tool. And obviously the first step is you got to create an account. And if you can't do that, then probably shouldn't be running an e-commerce brand. I think you're gonna have bigger challenges than that. Now, before you set up your first split test, you obviously need to know, what am I split testing here? So it's gonna be this headline banner split test. Now, we're gonna go into settings before we actually set that up, and we're gonna connect our Google Analytics account. So as you can see right here, I already do have it set up, but when you go into here, edit link to property, you can just click onto here. We can go through these different options and see which one do we want to connect. So obviously I've already done this twice, so I would click on the one that we did set up right now. And then for stream, same one right here. And then once you do that, click save and you are good to go. Then we're going to click on create experience. We're going to do headline banner split test just like that. And I already wrote one out. So I'm going to add an extra little character there. Then we're going to copy the landing page we're going to send our traffic to like this. Click A/B test and then create. All right, so this is where we get the chance to nerd out. So we're going to click on add variant just like this. And now we are going to have 2 pages. The original one, which is this one right here, no changes at all. And then this one right here where we can edit it using the Google Optimize tool. Now what Google Optimize lets you do is it lets you delete sections and basically just edit anything that has HTML. So you can edit text, you can edit different menus, all of this stuff. So let me show you how powerful this is. So let's say for instance, I have this section right here that I want to split test. What will my performance be if I remove that section entirely? Well, all we have to do, right click, and then we can click remove just like that. I know, it's really, really cool. Then we can also edit the text of things like headlines. So let's do edit text and we can type whatever we want. I know it's crazy. Yes, this will actually show up to 50% of your traffic. So obviously don't type some gobbledygook that will completely confuse your audience and lower your conversion rate, but let's just reset. We'll do that. And then we can obviously play around with a bunch of different things. So you can even edit your product title. So if you want to split test different product names, which honestly is a pretty useless split test in my eyes, I think you should just have one that you like, but you can do that if you want to be an omnipotent, all-powerful God. But now let's actually do what we came here to do, and that's editing our headline banner. Now, there's a few cool things we can do. We can actually edit the color. So if we want to change it from white, let's say to black, we can do that. So what we can do is scroll down, go to background just like this, and then we can click on it. And obviously we would make it super black. We can make it blue just like this. But for me, I'm just going to click on the black icon like that. And then boom, we got a black headline. Now, obviously we want to edit the text and make it white in this instance. So what we would do, go here to color, click on edit, and then we can make it gray, but we want to make it sort of white. So as we can see in the bottom right, we can make it that. Obviously it's easier when you have the color code. So what we're actually going to do right here is copy this, go back into our Google Optimize, and we are just going to add it like that. So bada bing, bada boom, got our white text, and we can split test obviously the text itself. So let's click edit element, edit text. So instead of welcome to our store, we can actually do something useful like talking about a benefit, a unique selling proposition. So it could be free shipping on all orders above $50. It could be Black Friday sale ending soon. So let's do that. Black Friday 40% off sale ends soon. So it could just be as simple as that. And then obviously after that, we want to click on save, click on done. We also want to make sure to preview this on mobile in a lot of cases. So you can see right here, we got the Galaxy Note 8. We can click on this, see how it looks on an iPhone 7. Ugh, what is this, 2014? Do people still have that? God, dinosaurs, am I right? But we do want to see how it looks on mobile, obviously, because that's where most traffic is coming from. Now, there's other things that we can do, like moving sections up, but that's also really kind of risky with Google Optimize because it can look good on desktop, but it can look really poor on mobile. But you do have the option. I'll show you real quick. So let's say, for instance, I want to drag this on down. Below, you may also like, and then boom, we have moved it down. But again, make sure you're looking on mobile to see if it actually does work properly. Now, once you got that set up, I know you're eager to launch your test, but you actually have to install the code. Don't get too ahead of yourself, Buster. So when we go down to optimize installation, we need to go to view instructions. We are going to copy this code, and obviously don't click check installation. It's most likely also going to ask you to download the Chrome extension, so you will need to have that for Google Optimize. Pretty easy. But when we go back to Shopify, we're going to do the exact same process, and you should be an expert at this point, being able to teach your friends and being that one step ahead of them. So we're going to go to theme.liquid, do the same exact thing, click anywhere here, do Control.V/head, click on next, go to the bottom, and we are going to skip a line just like that. Paste the code, click on save, and then we can check back in Google Optimize on the installation to see if it is working. Now, I actually had an error because I chose the wrong Google Analytics code. So that's unfortunate. So what I would have to actually do is go back and choose the other BOD template. That's why naming is so important, because I gave them the same name. So let me go back and fix that. And bada bing, bada boom, after changing it to the right Google Analytics account, there is no errors. See, your boy knows what he's doing. It's just the naming that was a little bit off. But now that we have this all done, the final thing we have to do is talk about our objective. So we're going to choose from a list right here, and it's always going to be purchase revenue. We want to increase the revenue per visitor because that's really the major thing that we can control. So once we scroll on down, we got our objective. We are going to publish this bad boy. We're going to click on start. Now, it's going to ask you sometimes to schedule. So you could schedule it if you want, so that this test is going to run from a certain time frame. I personally just like to start it, and then after about 2 to 4 weeks, I'll analyze the data after having thousands of visitors and see which one is performing the best. And it'll be showing up in the report section of Google Optimize. So if you're wondering where that is, you see details, then go to reporting. And as you can see right here is the first day. There's no data here, but after some time, and you have to send thousands of people to your website, because that is the only way you can tell if the test was successful, because you can have thousands of people come to your website, and if there isn't a big increase in conversion rate, if the numbers are very similar, then you can't really say which landing page did better or if having that split test made a difference. Now, where a lot of people go wrong when they do split tests is they make conclusions after a limited sample size, meaning I could have 100 people view these 2 landing pages, and if 1 person purchases on one version and 2 purchase on the other one, that is technically double the conversion rate. So a lot of people say, well, then therefore this one must be better. But if you really think about it, that's 1 extra purchase. That is incredibly lucky. That is incredibly random. You have to give it much more time and have much more visitors and much more data to properly come to a conclusion from your split test, because a lot of people will come up with conclusions way too fast and it's not statistically significant. So what you want to do to actually do a test effectively is analyze it after a period of a few weeks and use this tool right here, the CXL calculator. So let's say, for instance, I did a split test for 2 weeks, so 14 days. On my first page, I got 2,000 sessions. On the other one, we got 2,000 because we split the traffic 50-50. And let's say, for instance, from that 2,000, I got 145 conversions. And then on the bottom one here, I got 80 conversions. So we can scroll on down and we could see this was statistically significant. And this is at a 95% confidence level. So we scroll on down, 100% the control is performing better. So yes, based on that, we would go with the control. We would delete the variation and stick with the control and start doing more split tests on that. However, let's say the data is really, really close. It is 145 to 136. As we can see real quick, it's going to update. Yep, there's still some variability. There's still some chance that that split test you made, even though right now, yes, there's more conversions, it still might be mainly based on pure luck. So as you can see right here, the calculator is saying you need to run this test for 320 days or have more visitors. Now, you're not going to run a test for 320 days. You might do it for an extra week or 2, but if you're noticing, okay, I'm doing it for another 2 weeks, okay, I got more sessions, let's say 4,000 in this case, 4,000. And again, we're still having the same issue where the conversions aren't making much of a difference. Then I would say, all right, let's end this split test because clearly there's not much we can conclude from it. And that will happen during some of your split tests. So that is strictly for analyzing, obviously, conversion rate solely, but there's other things to consider, meaning I could test 2 different landing pages. One landing page does get me a 2% conversion rate and the other one gets me a 1%. But if on that 2% conversion rate page, let's say people only spend $10 on average compared to on this one where people spend $30 on average, I'm still making more money with this landing page. And obviously, what's the goal at the end of the day? Is it to increase conversion rate or is it to make more money? It's always to make more money. So we would go with the second option in that case. So you don't want to solely rely on this tool based on that reason. But again, when you're just focused on increasing conversion rate and you know your AOV is not going to vary too much, then yes, you would use this tool. But now let's talk about the most important split test you can do on Google Optimize, which is split testing your landing pages and your offers. Now, the only way you can really do that is through a redirect test. And this is really, really powerful. So let's say I'm going to split test landing pages. So again, we would have the same URL and you're probably wondering how this works. Well, when you're in your ads manager and you're setting that destination URL, so once someone clicks your ad, where do they go? You can actually just put that URL that you put into Google Optimize, which would be this one right here. And what Google will do is that 100% of the traffic that clicks on that link will be separated 50-50 to those different landing pages that you want. And obviously you can actually split test if you want to do 50-50 versus 40% and 60%. I know what a lot of big brands do is they'll do 90% of traffic to their main landing page because that's just what's working. And then they'll send maybe 5% or 10% to a secondary landing page so that they can see, okay, at a low scale, is this converting better? Actually, let's go to the duplicate of our product page here. And this is the one where we're charging 10 euros more. And the great thing about this, if we do this split test and let's say the conversion rate is the same on both pages, that means we should go obviously with this one where we make more money. Again, the goal is to make more money. So if we know we can get the same conversion rate, but charge 10 euros more, we will take that extra 10 euros more. And obviously we can edit the URL here because it's just going to say copy of Audio Blade. So we might want to just do Audio Blade 2. You can just do Audio Blade with an extra E, or you can do try Audio Blade like this. We're going to click on save just like that. And then when we click on view, bada bing, bada boom, we are going to go back into our Google Optimize and we are going to do our redirect. So as we can see right here, we have the two landing pages. We have our duplicate version at a higher price. Then we have the original at the 59 euros. So that's going to be the major split test. And when we scroll on down, same rules. We're going to do make sure choose from list. And we are doing purchase revenue. Purchases, again, is not the most important thing. It's obviously revenue per visitor. And then just like that, we can click on start experience. And then that split test will be going on 50% weight to both product pages. Now, we can talk about how to split test that traffic again, where it's not exactly 50%. So if we do another redirect test, I'm just going to put in some random data. We can put in add variant just like this. I know I'm going super fast, but that's just because it doesn't really matter here. We're just showing you how to do the weight. So we would click on weight just like this, and we can do evenly split, which is what I would recommend, but we can also do custom percentages, as you can see right here, 40%, 60%. And obviously when you're doing that redirect test, you can do it on your normal product page versus that custom page builder page as well, because that will have a separate URL. Now let's talk about the final test. I know we've covered so much, you probably nerded out. And if I don't get my like and subscribe after this, then you honestly are missing out, because this is the type of sauce you're going to get. Now, the final thing we can really split test I would recommend is the multivariate test. So let's just put in a random thing. Let's say add to cart button. It will be the thing we split test. Now, I would say the most practical way of doing a multivariate test is, let's say, for instance, with the add to cart, we want to split test blue versus red versus add to cart and versus the word, let's say, add to bag. Well, we can do all those split tests in one split test using a multivariate test. So I know I said test a million times, but basically how it works is, let's say, for instance, we have our original, click on add variants, and this variance will be changing that add to cart color. So let's just go into here and we're going to scroll on down to the background color. And again, you want to get that HTML color code because right now, I'm just playing around. So yeah, let's say we want to do this kind of teal turquoise type of color. We'll click on done. And obviously we want to label this properly as well, because this might be the one that converts the best. And if we don't name it, then that's just a pain in the butt. So edit variant name. So we'll do teal just like this. And that will be the first thing. So in this section, we would do split tests of different colors. So we might do teal, red, black, and then we can also split test the wording. So let's add another variant right here. We'll click on variant 1, and this is where we can edit that text. So we already talked about how you can do that. So let's say instead of add to cart, or instead of lowercase and it looks all sad, let's edit that text and we can do add to cart as all capitals. We can also play around with different fonts as well. We can try different pixel sizes. I mean, look how cool this is. I'm sorry. It is really, really fun to play around with. So we can do a variety of different split tests that I know make a very small design difference to your website, but you would be surprised. Sometimes the smallest changes will make the biggest difference in your conversion rate. But once we're done playing around with that, I know I was supposed to change it, but again, you should know how to do it. You right click, you edit the text, and then you're good to go. But basically we would put all of our different variations, all the different combinations. So we'd have our original color with the original text, and then we'll have teal, and that can be paired up with the original text of add to cart when it was really sad, versus the teal with the new and improved version of the text. And because we have 4 different combinations, as we can see right here, what Google Optimize will do is it will send 25% of traffic to each one of these. And obviously it depends on how many combinations. If you have 10 combinations, then it'll send 10% to each, and it will give you the data on which one performed the best. So that is how you split test and make more money with your conversion rate increasing and your AOV increasing by using Google Optimize, Google Analytics, and Hotjar. Give me my like, give me my subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Now, because you stuck to the end of the video, or you just skipped to the end like an absolute noob, here are all the split tests you can do. So you can split test changing your fonts, headlines, logo, product photos. Again, you can read all this, take a screenshot. I'm not going to go through each, but here is everything that I have personally done that has made a huge difference and has succeeded as a split test for a client or my own store.